Writers. When I was in college, there was a course for every single first-year student. You may be surprised to hear that it wasn't about writing. It was about geography. The heads of the school felt very strongly that all of the students who graduated needed to know about geography, to know about landforms and climate, and to know about the way geography impacts the world. Now, I went on to take a number of history classes, and study of geography became even more important because historians are always concerned about the ways that geography, the study of landforms, places, and climates, has an impact on the history of events. Geography is crucially important to the westward expansion, as well as to any other events that happened in history. This means that you, as researchers and writers, need to pay attention to geography as you revise your reports. Now today, you may have expected that in Writing Workshop we work on ways to revise our writing as writers, and we will, but it will be a little different. Today I want to teach you that when you write and revise as a historian, it is important to keep in mind not only qualities of good writing, but also qualities of good history. For example, historians think it is important to include details about the places where things occurred, about the geography of that place, because geography will always have an impact on what occurs. And here's the cool thing. A history writer can think about the places in which a bit of history occurred simply by keeping a map close by as he or she reads, take notes, and writes. Writers, do you remember that revision means just that? To revision, to re-see. And you will recall that it can help for writers to put on special lenses before reading their own writing, so that they look for special things. For example, a writer can reread his or her writing, looking only at how the text seems to be structured, seems to be organized, or a writer can look only at how he or she had spelled things. When writing history, one thing a writer can do is to look through the lens of, have I highlighted the ways in which the geography or the place impacted the events? So let me show you what I mean. This is one of the paragraphs I wrote in my flash draft of a report. Let's reread this together, looking at it through the lens of how much specific information is included here about places, about geography. It helps to have a map on hand as you do this work, so I'm going to show each of you this one. While I read the text, look at the places on the map that I mentioned, and think about the places I don't mention but I could have. The Erie Canal was built to connect the Atlantic Ocean to Lake Erie. This way, people could travel by water. Writers, are you with me? Could I have been more specific about this place on the map with Lake Erie and the Atlantic Ocean and the Erie Canal? By looking at my map, I've revised my writing. The Erie Canal connected the Atlantic Ocean to Lake Erie. Before the Erie Canal was built, boats could travel from New York City in the south to Albany in the north using the Hudson River. The Erie Canal added a branch to the Hudson River going west. Now boats could travel across and up and down New York. Notice the way I added more specific information, and I added all of the geological features like oceans and lakes. To make some revisions, I crossed things out and used arrows to make other revisions. I added information at the bottom of my first bit of writing. Do you see, writers, that rereading with an eye on the specific places I have mentioned, and those I could have mentioned, has helped me to revise my draft? That's what I mean by writing and rewriting with an eye out for ways to include specific details about places. So let's add this technique to our information writing chart. Before you get started, we will reread the first bit of our own writing, and after you've done that, you'll point out to a partner some of the specific details about the places that you think could be added. For example, somebody might say, well, I could add some thinking about geography to my section on the Trail of Tears. I could write about where the Native Americans began and where they were forced to live. Then your partner might say, well, I could do the same thing. I could write about where people came from for the gold rush. Not everyone came from the East. Some people came from the West, from Asia. I want you to use this map to chat with your partner now for 5 minutes about where you could add geography or places to your informational writing. Your 5 minutes starts now. Now use this map, or maps you can find online, to revise your writing using geography or places. Any passage in your writing can be revised to bring out more information on place. Doing this doesn't take searching and searching for the perfect passage or something that you've written. It just takes powerful thinking. Let's get started, and researchers, when you've revised your sections for geography, you may also want to continue revising by adding more information, important vocabulary words, or your own ideas. Remember, you are in charge of making your own writing the best it can be, so get going.